Hey everyone, SycraStream here, and I am joined with some special guests.
Hello.
Hey.
One is Bob Meatbag,
Hello.
one is Amira Meatbag, one
I'm not a
is
meatbag.
Ricardo,
Hello.
and one is Flavia,
Hello.
and Jetty Jet from the Jetty Jet show is maybe coming, and maybe more. Okay, so it's been a while since I've done a stream, so I don't remember how to do this so well. But I had a point. Okay, so this stream is because of the people on Patreon meeting a milestone goal. So the people who are not supporting me on Patreon, this is because of the people who are supporting me on Patreon. So thank you to the Patreon people for supporting me.
Yay.
Yay. And I should do a thing. Okay. Jesus. Yay, I have a Patreon. And if you want to support me, you can do that Patreon style by clicking Become a Patron and, just give whatever you think is a fair amount to my Patreon. If you pledge money, you get stuff. It's good though. See, I do posts. I post stuff, and so far I've well, they're for patrons only, but never mind. Whatever. Okay, so that's my plug. That's my plug. I did it.
Yay.
Nice. Is Jetty here already?
No, Jet's not gonna be here. Yeah, Doge. There will be more milestones. The next milestone is $1,000, and then I will do weekly streams instead of monthly streams. So that's a thing if you like streams. And are you moderating the chat, or should I do it? Because I can see it. It's like really big.
I'm looking at
If
the
you want
chat.
to do it, if you missed something, I can.
Okay. Cynics is working at his bird store. He may be able to join us or may not. He was invited. It's also his birthday today. And so maybe he's hanging out with the birds. And you didn't know that Cynics works in a bird store? Joanna Higgins. Yes, he works in a bird store. That's not even a joke or anything. That's like
Not even a metaphor.
that's 100% true.
How long is the stream going to be?
The stream's usually going to be about an hour and 30 minutes. That's the limit of the streams. I don't know if we're doing prompts today. I don't know about prompts.
Is Bob John there? Yes, it is.
Will the Pointy Chins episodes be available for people who donate later on? Yes, it will. But I mean, yeah, it will. So you could just wait it out. But it's cool if you get to see them earlier, I guess, because they're full of helpful knowledge. I think. I don't know. The thing about Pointy Chins, I did want to talk about this because I've had a few people comment that, like, oh, Pointy Chins is now only, you have to pay to get Pointy Chins. That implies that Pointy Chins wasn't finished. Pointy Chins was done. Like, episode 14 was going to be the last episode. The only reason I brought it back was because for the Patreon thing, so it's not like you were missing anything. It was like I'm still making the exact same YouTube videos that I would have made anyway. All the tutorials, like I've got like videos pre-made for YouTube, so you don't have to worry. And for other people who are like, oh, he hasn't uploaded videos in a while, no, I've uploaded every week for years now, so you can look back and see that that is true. So enough about that. What you want to talk about? You know what I should do? I should get the questions from people first for topics.
Yeah.
That would be that would be cool. But
Good. Yeah.
oh wait, Dragos Bob. Okay, this is a serious question. How do you stop hating your drawing style? I feel the constant need to change it since I'm not happy with it. I guess eventually you will be happy with it. It's not forever. It's not a permanent condition that you will hate your style, I think.
For me, it comes in waves, though.
Loops? Did the waves loop? I should introduce you, Wave Loop, because I don't know. So Bob is Bob Meatbag. I mean, you can see he's the one drawing on the screen. You probably know his stuff. Ricardo is also known as Wave Loop, and he is a very great artist as well. He, like me, has work that he really admires Joe Mad as much as I do, I think.
Yeah.
So we share that, and you can see his work at Wave Loop, which is waveloop.deviantart.com, I think.
Yeah, I have. No. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, Lauren asks, how do you motivate yourself to draw every day? That's pretty easy. You just make it super possible. Like, this is something I tell everybody. Just if you want to draw every day, draw every day. And just make it so you don't have to do a good drawing. You don't have to do a long drawing. If I told you all you need to do is like 1 minute of drawing every day, I'm pretty sure you could do, or even 5 seconds. If 5 seconds is all it took to draw every day, then you could draw every day. Right? And getting rid of the idea that, oh, I have to do a good piece, it's got to look good, I've got this great idea in my head. I mean, these things tend to stop you from drawing more. But if you know, for me, for instance, I don't go to sleep until I do my, I have 2 sets of drawings that I do every day no matter what. And the thing is, if you know you only have to draw like anything, like even if it's 5 seconds, chances are you're going to draw a bit longer anyway. And then that could easily turn into more time. But if you're intimidated and you get paralyzed by fear, that's when maybe you won't draw at all.
How do you know where to practice if you can't find mistakes by yourself?
Well, I think that comes with yeah. I think the eye is the most important thing to train first, and that only comes if you are exposed to a lot of stuff all the time, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And eventually you'll start to see it.
And you could have friends or
yeah, exactly.
People who can help you out on that.
But you can have that problem where you don't see it and take it by heart. You take it as an offense because you don't see it and you don't see why people are saying it's wrong.
Yeah, and I think sometimes there's this. I know I got this when I was younger. Is people will say something's wrong, but it's not really like you look at it and it's like, no, this is right. I think it's really important to remember that art is about communication. So if someone sees that, if someone says something looks wrong, even if you don't think it, even if you think maybe it's correct, there's something that's not communicating. So maybe it's not what they say. Like they might say, oh, the eye's off. And maybe it's not. Maybe the eye is fine. But something about the face is making this person feel like the eye is off. I think when you think of it that way, it tends to help.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Here's another question. What should you do when you know what to practice, but you don't completely know how to practice it?
All right. Oh, do you want to answer that?
No, go ahead. Go ahead.
I use this technique called iterative drawing, which I will be announcing later. Yeah. But just stay tuned. Stay tuned, not the next week on Wednesday.
Yeah, Wednesday.
And then that should help you a lot.
People are asking if you still do critiques.
Yeah, I do critiques. I was thinking of doing this new thing, and you can let me know if you think it's a good idea, if you would actually support this. But I did some private mentorship for Patreon, and it sold out really, really fast. And that is cool and all, but the thing with one-on-one private mentorship is it requires a lot of energy for me, and so I can't do a ton of it. Like, I can't do, let me have a ton of slots open, and the only way, I don't want to raise the price either. I don't want to make it, super duper expensive, and have a very few people with a ton of, a huge price tag. So what I was thinking is doing this thing where I don't really have, in my patron rewards, let's see if I can share this again. Oh no. I have the rewards for $1 is the easiest one. You get all my sketches. You get a ton of secret sketches that I don't show anywhere else, and then $5 is Pointy Chins, which is popular. But then the $40 is a mentorship, and that ran out really quickly. So I was thinking about making a $15 tier, and what that would be is once a month, maybe once a week, I don't know, but I'm thinking start out with once a month. I take 4 people, and each one gets 15 minutes for a critique on a piece, but then you get to stay for the whole hour. So you pay $15 and you get an hour, but you get 15 minutes specifically on your work, and then I could record that and then post that, so that would be like a YouTube video for people who aren't on Patreon. And if people are interested, then that, for $15 you can get a critique, and you don't need, I don't think, 15 minutes is pretty good, I found, for a critique.
How do you overcome the anxiety of posting your art for other people to see?
How do you overcome the anxiety of posting art? What do you think, Ricardo?
Sorry. Ask again. I was just getting some stuff ready here. How do I overcome what?
The anxiety of
posting art for other people to see.
Posting art for other people.
Oh, I really don't get anxious about that. I don't know. I think I used to. Yeah, I remember. I used to. I guess it's just falling down and getting up so many times that just stops hurting after a while.
Yeah, I definitely still have this problem, though. My recent way of getting over this is to not allow myself to listen to myself. And this is something that really helped me from DeviantArt, because I posted this picture on DeviantArt, which is not very, in my opinion, it's not very good. And people seemed to respond to it, and they liked it. And then they were encouraging me to post more. And so I started to realize this isn't about me. It doesn't matter if I think it's not very good, or if I think, I could have done better or something. It's if other people like it, that's fine. And so now I've just started posting indiscriminately. I'll make something and I'll post it, even if I think it's not that good. And I don't know, that's the only way I've found of getting over this. Just do it anyway, whether you like it or not.
Well, it's the state of mind, I guess. I mean, if it's really easy to get stuck in comparing yourself with the best. Well, not comparing yourself directly, but your goal will be to be the best. So you're watching all these amazing artists, and you set your goal to their level, and that's just destined to failure because there's a gap there. It's gigantic that you'll never fill if you're always looking at that goal. I think you have to be a little bit more honest with yourself and pick your goals carefully and realistically.
Yeah.
And that takes some discipline to not be emotional about that. But I think it's doable though.
Another question?
Yeah.
Is it better to study anatomy and gesture together or separately? How much structure should be kept in mind when drawing gestures?
You want to take this, Bob?
Okay, so they're asking about whether or not to have gesture and anatomy together, right?
Mm-hmm.
Well, let's see. The way I did it was that I first learned. I went to life drawing, so I learned figure drawing first, I suppose, and then I learned anatomy afterwards. But it's sort of like it doesn't really matter which order you go about doing it, as long as you do it. It's like you could try doing it together, and then you would learn, okay, how could I maintain energy while also maintaining structure? If that's too much for you, then maybe, yeah, do it separately. But, yeah, it just depends on which one you feel more comfortable with first. If you're struggling too much, then just go with whatever feels comfortable, and then move on to something else, and add it together. Because it's like, as long as you invest time in it, you're going to get results.
Yeah.
And
also, like, let yourself kind of allow yourself to get worse in the things you're not, like, let's say, because I've had this where I'm practicing anatomy and my gesture gets a bit worse. That's okay. It's not like, you don't have to freak out. That's kind of normal. Because what's happening is your brain is so overwhelmed on this new problem of, did I say anatomy or gesture? Whichever one I was saying. Like, I guess anatomy and then gesture gets worse. Okay, so your brain's focused on gesture so much, and it's occupying all the whatever a brain is made out of thing. It's occupying all of that, like the gray matter. And so you will get worse at gesture or composition or something temporarily until your brain has absorbed that information of the anatomy. And once you've done it enough, it'll become second nature. And then when you go back to gesture, you'll improve really quickly at it. You'll get it back to your normal state really quick. So if it was like video games, it would be a weird case where you're building your stats and then you're working on, let's say, strength, and your strength is at 5. You want to bring it to a 7. You bring it to a 7, and then your defense and agility and all that go from like a 3 to a 2, and then they go back to a 3 really quickly after, but your strength is now 7 from whatever it was.
Yeah.
If you have to get better in a short period of time, say 6 months, what would you work on first?
Why do you have to get better in a short time, like 6 months? I don't get it.
Yeah.
It's not something you can really time. I think that's one of the biggest misconceptions, that you can get better in a certain time period. It's different for everyone. I mean, for me, it took me 10 years, or no, more than that, because, yeah, a lot more than that. But anyway, the point is, if I knew what I know now, like from my videos and stuff, I could probably get much better in a very, very short time. Like maybe 4 years, I could get pretty good. But that's still 4 years. It's not 6 months. And even guys like cynics who say, you know, oh, you get better in 6 months. It's like, yeah, fine, okay. So that's a thing that, sure, some people are like that, but you don't get to control that, so why worry about that? I mean, I understand, you know, it sucks to be in a situation where it's like, no, you don't understand, I have to get better because I have limited money, or, I don't know, my parents don't believe in art, and then they've given me a deadline that I have to get good in this time, or whatever it is. Yeah, but I don't know, artificial timelines we're not going to deal in artificial timelines or something.
I don't know. It's I get a little just thinking about getting better as a sequence. It's just really weird for me because we're not like that in any other thing.
Yeah.
We evolve organically. We change. It's not even that we get better or not. We change and we get exposed to experience. The results are different, and if you have more knowledge, more experience, more trial and error, things will eventually get better. But it's not like you are going to get better. Maybe sometimes you even get worse before you get better.
Yeah.
So I think it's. I think you shouldn't pay that much attention to how will I be, as long as you know you're getting different results.
Yeah. And you can, like, even people who they have a full-time job, if you can fit in 2 or 3 hours or 4 hours, let's just say 3 hours, if you can fit in 3 hours every day for your art on top of your job, maybe you have to sacrifice things, like you can't watch TV or something. You still can make a lot of progress with if you're putting in 3 hours of concerted effort.
Yeah,
I'll try to, Sycra. I'll try to.
I wasn't talking about you, but...
Okay.
I think the thing that people really need to start focusing more on is the habit instead of the result.
Yeah.
Because the result is going to take time. Whether or not you say, well, I have a deadline, I have to do this or do that, that's not going to matter. It's going to take however many years regardless. Like let's say you have a deadline of 2 years. Oh, well, you got to get better in 2 years. Well, what's the sacrifice you're going to have to make? You're probably going to have to work every single day on art, thinking about things and practicing things, and that's full hardcore. It's still going to take you 2 years. So the important thing is creating a habit, making sure that you keep drawing so it becomes second nature, to the point where even if you mess up, you might not necessarily care. It's like, okay, I had a bad day today. Well, I'm gonna keep going, and then eventually, it sort of matters less, and then the results do come in. So yeah, I think that's what needs to be focused on.
Yeah.
Yep. Here's another question. Is going to a life drawing session necessary in order to get good at drawing people? I use Pixel-Lovely a lot, but I've had someone tell me that there is not enough depth. That's coming from Mr. Poopy Butthole.
Mr. Poopy Butthole?
There's not enough depth there.
I know you well. Okay. There's not... Yeah, that's sort of true. I mean, in life drawing from life, of course you're going to get more depth. The thing is, you don't necessarily have to go to life drawing sessions for that. You can get it from just life. Like, you could sit at a bus stop and draw people. But what I recommend is this. It's that draw from imagination a lot and try and understand as much as you can from imagination. And when you then can build, study anatomy and stuff, but when you can do that, you don't need to go to the actual life drawing. Then when you go to life drawing, you get a lot more out of it. So if you only do one or the other, it's like, yeah, it's okay, but you can get a lot out of life drawing if you are actually thinking the right way. And I've seen people who never went to, I think Dave Raposa, he never went to life drawing at all, and he improved pretty fine. It's not mandatory. It's not as big of a thing as some people say it is. That's what I found, and I did years and years of life drawing, so I'm not talking as if it's like, oh, I never did life drawing and it didn't help me. No, it helped me a lot, especially in the beginning. I thought it helped me a ton, and it was something that I kept hearing, like, you have to do life drawing, you have to do life drawing. And then I found, okay, I'm doing life drawing and I'm getting faster at life drawing, but when I tried to do stuff from imagination, I still struggled quite a bit. And it wasn't until I switched and I started doing a lot more imagination stuff that I felt I was improving much, much faster. But I think it depends.
How did you explain to your parents that you wanted to pursue art as a career? They don't think it's a real job.
I think one of the things you can do is, okay, so first of all, think about what their position is, like where are they coming from. So they're coming probably, I don't know for sure because I don't know your parents, but they probably care about you and they want you to succeed in your life, and they're worried that you will pursue something that will lead nowhere. So the first thing I would recommend doing is finding artists who are professional. There's channels like, Feng Zhu, Bobby Chu has a channel. Just professional artists who are sort of in the industry and making money. Let them see that side of things. And then you also have to understand that this is it's very hard to get a job in this. You have to be very good. So what I would also do is show them your dedication. And if necessary, if they're willing to believe in you, because a lot of times parents will pay for college, and it's a huge expense, and you may do 4 years and realize, or 3 years and realize, I don't really want to do this, and switch. And it seems fine. Like, parents aren't that, they don't seem to get that mad about stuff like that. So it's like, if you can convince them that, hey, just give me a chance, give me a year to show you what I'm worth, and really work and show the improvement, and then that's on you then, right? Like, if you fail, you fail, but at least you can demonstrate that this is, first, it's like, show them that this is viable, and second, show them that you are hardworking enough to make this happen.
Yeah, that was something. I recently started digital art, and I've noticed my lines are really thick. I've made the brush extremely small to compensate, but it doesn't work very well. Any other tips?
Make your canvas bigger. Like a thin line, if you're working with a really small image resolution, a 1 pixel brush is still going to be fatter than if you're working with a huge resolution image. Like, I tend to start with preset. There's a Photoshop preset called US Paper. I tend to start around that level, which is around 2,500 by 3,300 or something like that.
I'm also wondering if they don't chicken scratch a lot, like go over their lines. Like maybe making fewer lines, or just, if you don't get the line you want at first, undo and then keep doing it until you get it.
Yeah.
So there's not a lot of added thickness. Are you guys full-time artists? If not, what are or what were your side jobs?
Well, I don't know. No, you want to go through the people? I don't know if you guys want to talk about that stuff.
Well, if you really want to know.
I don't know. Like, if you want to talk about it, you're free to talk about it. It's educational.
Oh, yeah,
I'm
not a full-time artist. I still work as a therapist too, with little kids.
Mhm.
I don't work with little kids, but I do. Well, I do work with little kids if there are little kids watching, but that's a mistake.
I don't work as an artist. Not really.
I work in visual effects, not really art.
Yeah, but you worked on like huge movies and stuff, so.
But it's not really art.
You still have artist in your job description.
I think they should call it technician or something, not artist. Because it's not really art.
I think, people who work in Subway are called sandwich artists.
I heard. It's interesting.
Do you think it's wise to start at a minimum wage, especially if you're just a beginner? How would you go about charging things when you're starting out, charging for art?
I wish Jet was here.
Yeah.
He has a lot of advice, I think, about that.
Yeah.
I guess we can ask him when he gets back.
Pundit Tube is
But,
asking Amira which
back.
movies.
Oh, he is here.
Jelly Jet, we have a question
He's
for
on
you.
demand.
I just have to put my earphones on and stuff. I don't want to be all rude. So.
Okay.
Ask the question. What's the question?
Is it wise to start at a minimum wage, especially if you're just a beginner?
Oh snap. Is it wise to start at? Let me just ask you a question. I think that starting in the art industry as in minimum wage. I think. Is that the question, or are they talking about like?
Yeah, the art industry.
Yeah.
Okay, so like starting off like lower paying minimum wage. I think that's reasonable. I think if you're starting off, because like it's like if you're doing art and you're charging minimum wage, it's pretty much saying it's equivalent to your basic like flipping burger job. So like if you're starting off, you should be at least getting what you could be making doing something elsewhere. If not, then don't go any lower than that. I think that's reasonable. And then you slowly work your way up. Slowly, adding your pay up as you go with experience. And I think that's a fair way to go. Just don't ever. This is my big thing. Don't be a slave to these people, because there are a lot of people who will work for free, and a lot of people who will work for like $2 an hour. Like do like 1 month I get like 5 or 10 characters or 100 or 50 characters. I get to do all those drawings. How much you're getting paid? $200. Like that's like less than 25 cents an hour. If the hours to work. It's crazy. It's nonsense. So and then when you do that, you water down the whole entire thing, and it just doesn't make any sense. So
yeah, but it does. Like I've noticed with art, it's a bit different than maybe other careers because it can change really quickly. Bob and I, we were working for, I think it was $100 a card, and then if you think about it, let's say, because some of those cards took 3 weeks.
Yikes.
So if you do the math, we were probably getting paid like some cents every hour. So minimum wage would have been amazing.
Yeah.
But the thing is, you get better and you get faster and you get better jobs, and so it doesn't mean you're stuck at that for a long time. Because, I'm just going to talk about card art and jobs. And how much you can get paid. The lowest I know is around $25 for a card illustration. And then the low end, that's not like ridiculous, is about $100 to $200. And then the medium tier is $300 to $700, and then the higher tier is like $700 to, I think the most I've heard is $1,800, but maybe there are people who get paid more than that. But again, as you improve, let's say you get fast enough that you can finish one in 2 days, and you're getting paid $1,000 for one card. That's $1,000 every 2 days is not bad. But in the beginning, it might be that it takes you a week or two to finish a card that only pays $100. Like, well, you're gonna get faster as things go, and your pay is gonna completely change. And then you may lose your job. So save your money.
How do I make my drawings come alive? And also there's a question about how do you convey energy and fluidity in your art?
That's a Bob Meatback question right there.
That's a Bob Meatback question.
Well, I think with like my earlier works, I didn't really have that. When I went into life drawing, and when I really started paying to the line of action and that kind of stuff, the energy of the body, that's when I really started to develop that kind of, I don't know, just that kind of energy, I suppose. Yeah, I'm not really sure how to answer that question, because it's sort of like I just stumbled upon the ability to draw with energy, I suppose. But yeah, maybe look up some stuff based on figure drawing for animators or something like that. And, like they'll probably be able to tell you better than I can.
Yeah. I think that's a pretty good answer, though. The animation thing. I noticed your works always had more energy in life, and I don't know, because I was trying to analyze it since I first started seeing your stuff.
Well, okay. Well, that's something we can talk about a bit more of. The thing with animation is that I think when okay, so let's say you're doing an illustration. You sort of what I noticed is that people sort of start getting into the details, and I do this as well. It's just sort of, oh, I'm drawing a face, and then I'm drawing a neck, and then the chest, and then, oh, let me put some clothes on it. And it's sort of like that. What that causes you to do is just sort of like your field of vision gets very narrow. You get focused on the small details instead of seeing the overall picture. So then what you could end up with is, oh, your character has a lot of detail, but their poses are very stiff because you didn't see the overall body. So I guess for an example, if everybody's watching my screen, like let's say, oh, there's a person standing. Well, just like instead of just focusing purely on the face and the body and the small details, maybe instead just sort of like draw the pose first. It's like, oh, okay, so there's this like center of gravity or something. Well, how is he standing? It's like, okay, maybe he's sort of like, you know, his like leg is like this or something. My center of gravity is all off. Let me do that again. Maybe he has like a bit more weight on one leg than the other. And maybe he's doing this. And then just by doing this, it's like I've already established the energy. It's like I can see the body overall. I can see where the gravity is going, where he's putting his weight. And then because of that, if I zoom in and start doing like details on the face and stuff like that, it's like I already have this structure, this skeleton in a way. And then that, for me, that helps make the character a lot less stiff. So yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Not sure if that answers the question.
Yeah. Do you have anything to add to that, Jet?
Oh snap!
Ow!
Long time no. Oh my, that's my too close.
You were a bit too close to your microphone. My headphones. I think my eardrum went, oh snap.
Oh man, I didn't get the beginning part of the question, but dude, I think Bob said it well, and I watched your video. You guys came such a long way, man. I didn't realize just how big of a like jump you guys have made.
We were.
Especially Bob. Bob's like a magician, man. Bob, you're incredible, man. My goodness, yeah, you guys are doing good. But yeah, keep it up. Keep it up, guys.
Hey, Jet, I have a question for you.
Okay, what's the question?
What happened to your regular uploads on your channel?
Welcome to the Jenny Jet Show. What happened? Well, I said, you know, that's the Jenny Jet Show. That's what we do. We have regular uploads, and then we don't follow them because.
Well, you've been busy with a lot of work.
That's my excuse every time. I'm a slacker, but yeah, it's. I think my my main video from my YouTube says at the end, "Stay tuned, Friday shows." Everybody, Friday shows. Like 2 months ago, like every Friday, there's no show. Yeah, that's a problem. I think right now, I think it's important for me to focus and like just focus on my work and try to save up enough money, and then I think once I have enough like freaking finances and everything set, I can focus solely on YouTube. But multitasking on projects and freelancing with YouTube and life is complicated. It's really hectic. So, but yeah, I do apologize. But thanks everybody for being so patient.
Yeah, you'll get back on it. Nice.
I will.
Boss, do you want to do prompts? Like it's really up to you. Yeah, from the audience, or are you more comfortable just sort of doing?
I'm not. I'm feeling pretty comfortable just doodling right now.
Okay.
I'll pull up a drawing real quick, but I don't know about prompts.
Are you gonna share your screen, Jet? Are you gonna draw it as well?
I'm about to draw. How long is this going for? I'm sorry, everybody.
It's going for another 50 minutes.
50 minutes. Okay, that should be enough time to do. Yeah, I'm gonna share screen then.
All of my characters look like they're floating. They never look like they touch the ground. What's the base?
Oh,
to add weight to characters.
Oh,
I think a ground plane really helps.
Yeah.
a plumb line really helps. That's my little secret trick to that.
That's like
You guys-
the same as the Bob's center of gravity thing, right?
Yeah. Because I
Yeah.
kind of missed it. I was just checking out there was no sound for me, but if you explain it, yeah. It's like where the line from like the middle of the chin meets the side of the weight bearing leg. Weight bearing leg, or if both legs are equally balanced, then it's directly in between both legs. And that
Is
can
that
be
how you learned it though? It's the chin thing. Like,
yeah, right beneath the chin.
many
So like
things.
it's always
Uh,
it's like the neck, the center of the neck. And if they're like leaning over, like say for example, if they're balancing on one leg and they're just tilted over, of course it's not going to be the neck, but you would imagine where the neck would be right above it, kind of deal.
Yeah, because I was taught like the nose, and look at the nose, and wherever the nose is, that's where the center of gravity is. And then someone else said, no, it's the center of the collarbones.
Yeah, I think center collarbones might be good too. Nose, I think good too, but your head can kind of move around.
Yeah.
But it's right the inside, the inner, like, what's it, the inner portion of the foot, the weight-bearing foot. So like the inner.
Why would I be drunk?
Does drawing people in public help, just like life drawing lessons?
Lessons? I don't know. It depends on your teacher if it's lessons, but drawing people in public definitely does help. I think it's really like you do not have to go to a life drawing place to. You can learn anatomy on the side and just draw people in public, and it really. The thing about drawing people in public is it gives you more stuff to. It improves your visual memory and stuff. You can see exactly how people walk and what do they do with their hands when they walk. What do they do? What's their posture? What's the whole form? When someone looks bored, what do they do? And just observing people around you, really, I think it goes a long way towards bringing life into your drawings.
Yeah, definitely.
I think another thing that I just thought up was something. One thing that life drawing and drawing from life can really give you is the sense of urgency. So with life drawing, it's sort of like you're giving at the beginning, anyways, you're given a limited amount of time to draw something. Yeah. So then you're forced to make a decision, and then that's sort of what drawing is. When you put down a line, you're making a decision, whether you know it or not. With people who are chicken scratchy, they're very hesitant to make that decision. So then it's like, oh, maybe this line could be this, and they just separate instead of making one confident stroke. So then when you're giving a time limit, in the case of life drawing or drawing in real life, it's sort of like, okay, you don't have time to wait around. It's like that person could move, or that your time could go up. So it's just like, okay, you're forced to make that decision. And then when you make that decision, you can start, or after a while, you can start seeing which decisions were better. It's like, oh, what was wrong with this line? Was this line better? Why is that better? Et cetera, et cetera.
That's great advice.
But well, yeah.
What do you think, Ricardo?
No, I just that's a question I've thought about for a while. Well,
it's Ricardo.
Because I do think that giving myself time to actually see what I'm doing and calculate my moves actually gets me better at making the line I want. Mm-hmm. But I do agree with you, Bob, when you say that if in the beginning that's really useful because it just eliminates a lot of confusion in your head and it limits your perspective, so you're forced to learn to experiment and to make decisions. Yes, yeah, I agree. But later on, I found that the more time I take to analyze what I'm doing, the better the stuff
Well,
gets.
you've arrived at the point where you can
Yeah.
start making that decision, right?
Yeah.
Because the problem with the beginners is just that they don't know what the decision is. So then it's like, so
Exactly,
what happens
exactly.
is like once when you get enough experience, it's sort of like, well, hold on, I want to express this line, I want to make this decision, but I need to think about it first. And sometimes you might put the line down. It's like, well, that's not right, and then you correct it, that kind of stuff.
Yeah, even if it's to force yourself to do the wrong stuff over and over, right? Because you need to get the wrong stuff out of the way, right? You need to. That's the basic premise of training. So yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
For somebody who doesn't have the money to go to live drawings with models, what are some options drawing from life?
Just draw in the food court, draw at a bus stop, draw.
Self-portrait?
Self-portraits are good. Yeah, actually, self-portraits are. I learned how to draw the face by drawing self-portraits, which is why my characters are the way they are. But yeah, because the thing with the mirror is, and when you do self-portraits, it's much better to use a mirror and not just a photo. I would really recommend you use a mirror because you can turn your head, and this is annoying. It's a really frustrating part because if you're anything like me, you end up moving, and it sucks because it's like, oh god damn it, I'm not in the right place. But you can move your face and see like, what is this form? How does this form turn? And you're thinking in 3 dimensions instead of in 2 dimensions.
When drawing specific people, I find it hard to capture their likeness sometimes. Is there a way to become better at it?
To capture likeness?
Yeah.
It comes down very heavily to paying attention, paying much more attention, noticing there's like a triangle in the face. Let me just screen share and then I can draw it. What is that?
What is that?
What's going on?
Is that at Jet's face?
I don't know. Jetty.
Jet.
He's not around.
Anyway, okay, so let's pretend that's not happening right.
Mute him.
Okay.
Yeah.
There we go. Okay, I muted Jet. No, unmute him after. It's nothing personal, Jet. Just don't know what was going on. All right, so let's say you have a face. Let's try and not make it pointy. But if you don't make it pointy, then what's the point? Why do you make a face? All right, and then you have the mouth and the nose and the eyes, right? Okay, so there are these 2 triangle things, and one is this. It's between the corner of the eyes and the chin, and you get this, and then you also get it towards the mouth, and actually you get it also towards the nose. So these 3 triangles, they have a relationship, and it's really important to find this relationship, and then you can kind of mess around with the face quite a bit. Like you could, with this face, you could play around, but so long as these triangles are in the same proportion, or at least the same ratio proportion thing, it should be okay. The other thing is just pay a ton of attention to the specific features. So let's say a person has well, everybody has, I mean, not everybody, but most people have eyes. And instead of, you just see, you don't just look at the eye and draw whatever, like an eye as you see it. Like, a person might have a very specific shape to their eye. Maybe they have the eyelid crease and it goes down. Really pay attention to all these individual shapes. So, like, what is this angle, right? Not just, what is this angle? What is this angle? What are all the how does the eyebrow come in? You have to really pay attention to that. Something that's useful also is when you're drawing the iris of the eye, instead of just drawing like the pupil and then the iris, a good trick, if you have reference, is this: look at the white of the eye and just draw in the shape of the white of the eye. Something like this maybe, and then something like this maybe, and what you're left with is the iris, and it tends to be in a good, like more accurate. You've got more likeness when you, I think, when you focus on this, the whites of the eyes instead of the eyes themselves. Okay.
As you have all developed your own unique style over the years, how important is it to staying true to reality? Facial, body proportions.
What do you think, Ricardo?
It's just as important as you want it to be. I mean, it depends on what you're doing.
Yeah.
For some people, it's really important. For other people, it's not really. For other people, not really, because that's not the point of their art.
Mm-hmm.
Art is a way of communicating something. So if that helps you communicate what you want, yeah, sure, it's really important.
Yeah, it really depends. I think it's good to have that as a foundation, though. But then, in the end, how much you want to stay true to that's really up to you.
You know how hard it is to just go back to the simple you after you learn how to do the complicated you. You know what I mean? The 3D rendering structured approach, and then you're trying to like find a more 2D simplified style. It's like learning to unlearn what you learned and break rules. It's like,
yeah, Picasso.
It's so difficult. First you're drawing for fun and just fooling around doing things, and then you meet art school, and then you're like, or art lessons, and you find like the status quo, and then you learn how to render things and make things look so polished, and then you like rack your brain for the rest of your life, if you're like a lot of us, to figure out a style that's simple and elegant, and a lot of times that's far away from like a very rendered approach. And it really, like Ricardo said, it depends on you. It all depends on you. If you want to do realism, it depends.
Yeah, I spent like the last, I guess, 2 years. It's just trying to remember what I liked when I was 15 or 14.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Sometimes though, you can do the most by doing the least.
Yeah.
Like, you know what I mean? Like
I think that's the goal of the entire thing, though, right? Do a lot with very little, as little as you can.
You're like, this is the structure of a character. I want to do it in like 3-4 strokes or 3-4 different shapes. But then you kind of go in and you're like, no, let's put in more detail. Let's put in more lighting. Let's keep rendering it. Let's keep going. And it starts getting all just too muddied up and too complicated, and it just becomes boring again. And it's just that restraint from
precision. You know, it's sort of like I think Craig Mullen said this. It's sort of like, you know, a lot of people they make a line and then that line is good, but then they don't realize it and then they just screw it up. No, it's like once when you've I don't know. It's just like once when you get really good at something, then eventually you get to the point where it's just like, if I put this line this way or that way, then you are not expressing it accurately. With precision, once when you get that line accurately, it's sort of like that's all I need to express whatever this is. Whether the line expresses material, energy, structure, etc., that kind of stuff.
That is deep. And as I heard a wise man once say, I'm on a boat. Because it's deep, and I need a boat.
Jet, you should write a book about your philosophy.
Indeed.
I'm writing actually on my DeviantArt. I'm writing a lot of like my my journals about my philosophies and my revelations in life. Started.
Cool. Everyone's saying your Goku's really nice, by the way.
Oh, thank you. You can see it right now?
Yeah.
I'm trying to open up. What am I trying to open up? Yeah, I was gonna.
Are you allowed? What are you allowed to show us from your recent work? Maybe we could just go
Man, I
through
just
some
straight
of
up
your.
show. I just
Can you
show
show
you.
everything? Because
No,
I remember you showed me some really cool. I mean, all of it's cool, but
I've picked and chosen. I just picked
oh,
and here's the thing I wanted to do was I was gonna render one of the characters from a rough design to more finished look like this here, and since I came late I wasn't able to do that. So, but I might just polish a Goku. But I can show you some of the work that I've been doing.
yeah, do that.
Okay, that's what I was trying to find. I was trying to find that. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
So, pop it up real quick here.
Meanwhile, do we have any questions?
Yeah. Like, what time of day do you find yourself doing most of your practice? Morning, night? Do you make yourself separate from the rest of the world, or can you multitask at your level?
Well, I don't have a fixed schedule right now. It's very all over the place, but I tend to, whenever I wake up, because I wake up at different times, depending on whatever, but I usually wake up, and then the first thing I do, or try to do, is my drawing, and then the last thing I do is drawing, and then throughout fit as much drawing and painting as I can in the day.
Oh.
Do you try to
Okay.
be separate from the rest of the world?
Yeah,
Or can you multitask?
I don't know. I don't like. I mean, I think separation is important to a degree, because especially when you're in the early stage, there's a lot you have to give up, kind of. I think, anyway.
Yeah.
There's no activity you can do alone, concentrated, that you can do better while multitasking. That's just it. Whenever you're multitasking, you're dividing your brain power. So by definition, you're not getting your best results. Never. It's a fact.
You should do a
So
video.
whoever says that they can maybe they can and they do a good job while multitasking, but it will be so much better if they would do it by itself and just concentrate on that.
Yeah. Like, when I walk and chew gum, I like to walk a few steps and then pause and then chew, and then walk, and then chew.
Well, you gotta get that optimal chewing, right?
Yeah, it's not good to try and do these two together. It's very dangerous. You might fall into a pothole.
Yeah.
You didn't go to gum chewing school?
Did I go to school for gum? No, man,
Yeah.
Jet, self-taught.
Yeah. Ooh! Good, man.
That's what we're all about.
How do you finish a piece?
How do you finish a piece? Man, if only I knew. How do you finish a piece, Jet?
Yeah.
How do you finish a piece? I guess you gotta set a standard. Okay, you gotta set a standard and then you gotta meet it. So if a standard is
When you set a standard, do you look at another artist?
Yeah. I think that's one of the biggest, easiest. That's exactly what I was trying to say. So I look at references and see how far did somebody else take it, how crisp were the lines, and how rendered, how how polished it was, and I'd be like, okay, I can meet that standard. And then it also depends on time. So if you're working for somebody, but let's say if you're not and you just want to finish your own drawing, use reference and see how clean another drawing looks. And if you're looking at what I have now, I mean, you can fill up your whole sketchbook full of these and say these are my finished drawings. I mean, to you they can be finished, but maybe to commercial stand it maybe not be, but for concept art it can be. So, let's see here. Like if you're looking at this, it's done, but if you zoom in, if you see all the little lines and the colors aren't filling up all the way. These are gonna be like little sprites for a game, so it's like you're not gonna see them that close. So technically, they're done from this point of view. And since I did another thing, what I mean about a standard is if you're gonna do one of them this way and you want to do a lot of them, then you want to match the first one you did, and that's your standard. So, hope that helps a little bit. Just go through these real quick. So some of you guys might know I'm working for a company called Armored Games, and I'm working on this project. Oh dear. Yeah, and I'm doing like all the character sprites for the game. There's like over 50 characters, and I don't know which ones I can show or not. It's just a matter of not giving away too much of the story, I guess. Yeah, but like it's kind of late in the stream, so I guess it won't matter too much. But let's see here. So these were some of the
playable character.
Goku. See the random Goku. He's the playable character. But yeah, these are some concept art that I did for the game, and I streamed it too. It's on my channel. And this is the just go through them. I don't want to go too specific with them, but so yeah, this is a dude with a thingy thing. This is a zombie guy, medic. Yeah. So I was gonna clean up one of these right here, to show, but today was just crazy. Oh, and here's something I can do for you guys. Oh no. Maybe I can show you a breakdown of one of these.
Yeah, do that.
Oh man, okay, breakdown. Let's do a breakdown, because that's one of the things I want to do for my show, is just straight up break down a character, like without drawing, just do like a layer breakdown. And do I have? Yeah, I do. So this is what we had for the rough draft, and that's a lot of. There's just a lot of explanations to go on that, but as you can see, it's a robot dude, and a lot of things go into designing this: figure drawing, form and analysis, and lighting. No color, but right here I am establishing just the basic shapes, making sure that they're readable. He is a robot, so I don't want to make it too complicated, but I want it to be detailed enough where it's interesting. The suit is supposed to be semi-clunky, an older version of a newer type of suit that this guy's using. And in this stage, I have a flat layer, and I think I did it in stages where there were layers. I used lines, really rough lines, and then I went over it one time with a cleaner version. And then I lay down a flat silhouette underneath that version. Maybe I have it out here. Hold on a sec. Yeah, I think I have the cleanup stages here. Yeah. Hold on. Oh no.
I like that one. We just when you started doing that painting thing, that was cool.
Yeah, I started. Yeah. There we go. Perfect. So. I had something like this. Started with a little thumbnail. Bada, bam, hey. And then I think number 2 and number 1. So if you look at their gesture, really simple. And I'm sure it's anyone can do this. Really, it takes some practice, but they're really simple shapes. And if you understand the process, it's so easy. Anyways, 1 and 2, number 2 is picked. Going in there with some detail. It looks a little more detailed than it originally was, because I started cleaning it up, but it looked a little more like this guy. And to get that, I had this. I enlarged a little silhouette, laid down the flat, some shadows, blocking them really, really big. And it's a very general light source, so you want to keep in mind just the general light source where the light's coming from. And then what did I do? Did I put lights in? Yeah, I had some lights. So focusing on some not really light. It's like, what would you call that? Ambient light, form light, highlights.
I guess, yeah.
Yeah, there we go. Some highlights right off the center of the forms. And that's it. That's my. This is my rough draft for the design, and then I take it into the cleaner stage here.
So what
Mhm.
stage do you send it to the client as? Like when you did those thumbnails, did you send those to the client and the client got to choose
Yep.
out of those, or did they choose from the bigger ones?
They chose from the bigger ones. Yeah, it would have
Okay,
been
so the first ones you just did that for yourself.
exactly. They saw this just to show them what I was working with. But the company's so flexible. They have faith in me, and that's a really good honor to have. It's a privilege. It's not like that's normal where you can just go ahead and make your own decisions. But they're giving me room to play because they believe in that freedom of creativity that really helps, and it really helps, and it makes it enjoyable too because I've worked for a lot of people, probably half of the clients is like, no, don't go to the next stage yet. Let's stick it right there on the thumbnails. Don't do anything. And it's just really slow and tedious. And then they want to kind of edit every minor detail and change. So yeah, that's this is all me. I said from this set I chose 4 and 6, and I made some details off of those two, and I tell them if you guys see a different gesture you like, go with it. But that's never happened. They never said, oh, I actually like this gesture. They'll go off the one that I presented to them, and they'll see this. Yeah. So from there, let's walk us through the wrong set. Yeah. So this guy. That's not the right one. This is the right guy. So I copied and pasted. He's a flat layer, so everything's all the layers have been squished together.
What kind of advice would they give you once you send them that? Like they get to pick it, but do they give you any revisions or? Like,
yeah.
what's their input?
There's a lot of revisions. There is if sometimes I'll have to do a whole different design. Sometimes I'm like, actually, maybe let's work on a different. Let's change the character entirely. It maybe it's too bulky, and that's probably that happened once with the medic, but for the most part, actually, their review is just like, oh, go with number 1 and just choose work with these type of colors. We're thinking of this type of color. Don't forget the knife. Don't forget. It's a really minor thing. So it's like don't. Actually, we want to have him holding some sort of scanning device or something, not a gun or maybe a sword. It's just little reminders just to get you through, and then yeah. So it's really easy going. Just play with what I have.
So maybe just quickly go through it really quick.
Let's do it super quick. I don't want to I'm eating up your time. I'm sorry. Oh, thanks for being so patient, man. Thanks for being so patient. Here we go. So there it is, the cleaned up version, and that was traced over the rough. Boom, some shadows again, some lights, some highlights, some other lights, and then some color overlay, and then I think that was it. Oh, and the color for the gun. That's it. And some texture. Already done. Boom. And I did some other color versions. Yeah. There it is.
Mm.
Yep.
Thanks for sharing.
Yeah. Thanks for giving me some time, man.
All right, so
And I will just continue drawing.
Have you ever seen an art piece so good that you're just so awestruck and don't even know where to begin? Or how do you fight discouragement?
every Joe Mad piece.
Oh, Kim Jong-gi.
Yeah, Kim Jong-gi, Bob Meatbag.
Yeah.
But how come you guys tend to get discouraged over things that you see?
Oh, I don't get discouraged.
Yeah, it's like, why wouldn't you get pumped up or motivated, or it's like, oh yeah, fuck.
Because for me, a great part of me thinks I'm actually, I can't see how to get there. It just seems like impossible a little bit. It just feels like I I start to tremble inside.
But do you think if, like, for example, the 16-year-old Joe Mad was looking at his current work, wouldn't he feel like, oh, I can't see how... Like, no, it was him.
Yeah, that's true. And even when I look at some of the work, not all of the work, but some of the things I'm doing now, it's like, yeah, I probably would have liked that when I was 16. Yeah. And I would have been really like, wow, that's cool. But I don't know. I guess it really is that feeling of just, for me anyway, it's the ignorance, not knowing how to get from point A to point B. And the weird thing is sometimes it's not that hard. You can like figure something out in a week, and then. But anyway, I don't know.
Yeah.
I also have issues with confidence.
I think. I don't know. It's just like when. I'm not sure if it's for everybody, because I'm sure there are people who look at these works of art and they just go like, wow, that's so amazing. I just get pumped up. But I think for a lot of people, it's like Sycra said, they don't know how to get to that point, and then they feel discouraged. It's just, well, there might as well, I'll never get that good. Might as well be no point.
Yeah.
I think you gotta believe in yourself anyway. Like that's what I do. It's like, okay, I can be afraid. And I don't know, I had this talk with Flavia before about how I sometimes feel like I'm a coward because I'm so afraid of so many things, but the thing is, I'll do it anyway, even though I'm afraid. And I think that's the thing. Like, sometimes I look at Joe Mad, and it's like, in my head, I'm thinking, there is no way I can get to this level. I don't see this. Like, I cannot imagine being at this level. I don't know how it's done. And then I'll just lie to myself, and I'll say, "All right, well, you're probably gonna get there eventually. So let's just draw. You know, you gotta do it anyway."
Yeah.
Well, and there's also another thing. I said it before. It's the level that you're looking at, and it's not just the technical stuff. Drawing is drawing it is, but it's not just about being great at drawing. Those are those people's ideas. It's their brain that's working that. So it's them. It's like wanting to compose Beethoven. You'll never be able to compose Beethoven. He did it. You have to come up with your own stuff.
Yeah.
And you're looking at a final product, so it's very overwhelming, and you don't see. When you do see a process of someone making art, it's boring and it's not that interesting. But when you see the final piece, you're shocked by all that person constructed. It's complex. It has a lot of stuff in it. So it can be very overwhelming. So I think you have to look at it in a different way if you want to be motivated by it. Is this guy did this? I want to do something similar, but my own thing. It will not be this, or it won't look anything like this. It will look different. As long as it means something to me. I don't know.
I like
That's
that.
a very, very good point. I think you can only get really great if you're being yourself.
Yeah.
Otherwise, you're just going to be a lesser version of whoever you're copying.
Yep.
How do I make variations in my art to show diversity?
Why do you need to show diversity?
Yeah.
Because their characters all look the same thing.
Oh.
There you go.
Well, Bob, do you have any advice on this? How to make characters look diverse, different?
Diverse. Sure. Well, one could be shape language. Like, let's say you make a fat character, and then you use a lot of rounds, and then you make a skinny character. Oh, you can use a lot of boxes and triangles. Another way could be body language. Somebody might be, let's say they're depressed, their back is hunched, or they're confident. Well, maybe they're standing more straight. You could also try to learn maybe like just some different types of features of different ethnicities. Clothing could be another factor. Color is another factor. You know, those kinds of things. Yeah, just like just doing those techniques, I suppose.
Mm-hmm. All right, so 15 minutes left in the stream.
Last questions?
Last few questions, yeah.
Yeah. When practicing, how much should be from imagination versus from reference?
Depends on where you're going after. Sort of like, I don't know, I feel as though imagination can sometimes be exercises in knowing what it is you know. So for me, what I would do is that, let's say I'm learning the anatomy of an arm. It's like, okay, first, the way I do it is just I just get familiar with the thing first. How, I just draw something over and over again. So then that builds into my muscle memory. And then what I do is I stop looking at the reference, and then I just draw it from memory. So, okay, how well do I know this? And then very quickly you find out how much you know, and then I go back and I correct it, and then I do it from memory again.
Do you still remember how to do the arm that you did like a million times?
I think so, yeah.
Like, you could probably do it blindfolded.
I wouldn't say blindfolded, but it is this thing where it's just like I did it so often that it's just like, okay, I can. It's an interesting thing. It's like if you draw something so many times.
Could you draw it right now?
Yeah, sure. Let's see. If you draw something so many times, it's like there are times where I actually forgot what it looks like, but my muscle memory actually kicks it back in. So, tell me when you see, if you're looking at my screen.
I see it.
So it's probably not going to be as accurate as it was before, but let's say here's the bone structure. And it's probably not accurate, but let's see. I think it's this.
Jesus.
Wow.
So that's fun.
That's amazing.
Like you can't, the screen capture can't keep up with your speed.
Yeah, look how fast he is.
Yeah. That is crazy.
So yeah,
That's why I said he's a magician.
when I first saw Bob drawing, not first, but he had this was when you were doing your blocky bean shape, and I remember you came over to my apartment, and then he was drawing, and it was so fast that I couldn't keep up. It was like Krillin looking at Goku. I can't see them.
You just gotta relax your eyes, Sycra. Relax. Don't watch with your eyes. You gotta feel it.
Yeah.
but yeah, I guess for me it's just I don't know. I just draw it I draw it so many times that it's just like it's really ingrained deep into my muscle memory. So this is the thing that I notice. It's sort of like if it's very deep in your muscle memory, then but you have no imagination for it, then it's sort of like it doesn't matter. You know, if you have a really good memory, but if you don't practice enough, that's still not going to matter. But if you practice both together, then what happens for me is that sort of like, okay, it's embedded so deeply into my muscle memory, it's also embedded deeply into my subconscious. So as soon as I forget, it's just like, okay, let me start trying to draw the arm, and then my muscles will start remembering how to do it. And as soon as that happens, by association, my memory kicks in, and I start being able to do that as well. You know, it's you got to learn the system that you're working with, whether it's conscious, subconscious, whether it's muscle memory, that kind of stuff. Yeah.
Yep.
Love it.
So cool.
Ricardo, do you have screen sharing capability?
You want to see what I'm doing?
Yeah.
Actually, I was sketching on paper.
Oh.
Now I can show what I was doing before.
Yeah.
Just open it. Just grab another question while I open this.
All right.
How often do you get to do your personal or private work compared to work you get money for?
Every day. It's up to you. Like I think you make the time and you can do it every day. Just maybe not. I don't know. What do you think?
I agree. I'm just a slacker.
I think sometimes you don't want to do your own stuff because you're tired from doing stuff for other people. But I think it's a slippery slope, that is, because I just remember animation school and the teacher who said they never draw unless they're getting paid, and it's like, nope, not going to turn into that.
Oh man. I think just there's it's really an excuse. Like you can still draw for 2 minutes. Just do a quick gesture, or you know what I mean. If that means you get to do something for yourself, then I think it's worth it. And that's something I haven't done for myself. Even though I think every time I'm on your stream is when I get to draw. And the last time was probably last year. I did a Goku. Cause that was actually Goku. was because I finished work for like 8 hours of work. I'm like, let's break down Goku's hair real quick, and I want to do like if I were to render it in like more 3D, how would let's make sense of it. And then it turned into like, I think I didn't sleep that next day. Remember, we streamed on Cynic's channel. I didn't sleep. I didn't sleep for 24 hours because I decided to draw stuff for myself, and that was it. Yeah. And this sketch that I'm working on right now was done on Cynic's stream because somebody challenged me and said, I want to take your spot as the the stupid challenging thing on his show where if you want to be a mod, you have to win an art battle. So this was the prompt, a girl charging key. So yeah, in like 10 minutes, and I would lose to Bob in like 2 seconds.
Okay.
I keep drawing tons of sketches, but find it very hard finishing them.
So this is what I did.
That's cool, man.
Yeah.
Flavia, somebody said that they have tons of sketches. They have problems finishing
Yeah,
them.
they have trouble finishing.
I think they just don't understand the process. Like, what's the next step in the process? Like I said, there's rough. There's first actually there's layout. Just layout. Just knowing where the head is. So like head, hips, and like hands are over here. No, maybe hands are over here. Maybe they're foreshortened. Maybe they're right in front of us like this. That's layout. Like these scribbles tell me which location it is. Roughing in, the idea is the sketchy lines or the forms and all that stuff. Then you detail, then you color, and then you render. And if you don't, yeah.
Is it possible that the problem that they're having is that they don't have enough visual information? Because what I noticed is that when you do rough and stuff like that, the rough lines and the mess actually fills in information for you. So one of the things I noticed, let's say you're making a really rough human face or a human body.
Ricardo, I was looking at your screen.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Sorry, man. Sorry.
Anyways,
I wanted you to go through it, but yeah. Jet was drawing something, and then I clicked on his screen, and then I missed what you. But that's cool. So can you explain your stuff or show more of your stuff, because it's really, you're getting really good, Ricardo.
Well, this is for Tokiyami. It's I got to do a clash of two characters, and this is one side of and then I have to do the other guy.
Show the girl. Can you show the girl again?
Yes.
Really? Yeah.
When I did this this afternoon.
Doing it, Ricardo.
You're improving.
Doing it, man. Oh man.
Thanks,
What is this? We haven't talked for so long, man. How you been?
Yeah, man. We haven't talked. I've been busy, crazy. It's been crazy.
We'll catch up some more after.
One of the things that's weird with art that you never anticipate is you have these sudden leaps in improvement, and you never can really plan for them.
You know what? This summer, actually, we haven't talked regularly in a while, but I kind of let go of all the technical burden. I just accept that I have to do it, and I know I'll get better. So I don't think about what I have to do. I think of what I want to do and what I have to learn to do it.
Right.
So I spend a lot of time investing on what I think is really important. How to get more creative, how to get better ideas. So I started reading a lot again. I read a bunch of stuff. Reading like normal reading, not drawing related, just novels and fantasy books and stuff like that. And it really helped me, especially reading. It really helps stimulating your imagination, and you find yourself going, grabbing stuff that you would never use if you weren't challenging your brain to see it. So I read something, and these characters are great. And then I start imagining how they would look if they were alive or drawn. and I start to get associations where I would never, they would never occur to me if I was just sitting down drawing. So it's a good process to sometimes step away from the burden of getting great at drawing and invest a little bit more on the creative side of things. And I think that really helped me a lot.
So for you, it was a visualization exercise almost.
Yeah, because I think it's really important to because unless you want to make it, art is not a show. It's not how good you are at doing a line or how quick you can do it or how accurate. It's the result that matters. It's what you want to. At least for me, I mean, you can be that type of artist, right? You can make that your goal.
Yeah.
But I'm more about storytelling and the actual looks of things. So I don't mind taking my time or messing a lot with a lot of stuff and failing a lot to get that one thing that I want. And so yeah, it was a lot of visualization, I guess. Yeah.
Oh, yeah, that's cool.
Yeah, I agree. I have something to add on that. That's I worked on a manga a little bit back, and it was my first experience ever, and it was probably the most difficult art experience I've ever had in a long time because I was learning something new, and like anything, it's just difficult. I found myself, I've explained this so many times, I'm literally just sweating, building up a sweat because I'm focusing so hard and it's so stressful. I can't do this. I just feel like it's so difficult. And you spend like 9 hours of doing something that's supposed to be an hour of work, and then you wake up the next day and it gets a little better and a little better. Then it gets worse again, and over time, you get slightly better. But then what I learned, one of the biggest lessons that I learned in the whole entire thing was the less I cared about it being great, making this really extreme goal to make it just unbelievable. Once I was able to let that go, the work just came so much easier. It's like, just do it. Stop overthinking it. Whatever comes out, and just be okay with it. And the more I was able to do that, the more productive and efficient I was, because you're letting go that mental burden of just, you know what I mean? If you can just let go of that weight, that's less weight. You're gonna have to do it regardless. So why are you gonna have to stress about it while you're doing it?
Yep. So we've got 3 minutes left. Maybe one short question.
I was curious about one.
Yeah. Okay.
With all the artistic skills you guys have learned over the years, what would you consider your strongest area, and what would you consider your weakest area?
Oh, I guess we could go person to person. That's a tough question.
Oh.
Okay, so with all the artistic skills, what is your strongest area and what's your weakest area?
Well, that's a bit of a weird question, because it's sort of like, oh, what's your weakest area? Do they just mean by technique or by habit? Because technique can always be learned, and it's just, you just need time and effort.
I think
if it's more about... Okay, go ahead.
I was just going to say for myself, because, for instance, I've never drawn a hippopotamus, so I suppose I would be weak at drawing hippopotamus. if I spent,
but it's not an area.
Yeah, but the thing is, if I spent a few days, I could get pretty okay with them. I guess I feel... Oh, you're imagining the hippo taking a dump? Yeah, for anyone who hasn't seen a hippo with diarrhea, it's a sight to be seen.
Oh, no.
It's on YouTube. It's funny.
I know.
Anyway.
I know that video. Okay.
So, I guess my weakest point right now is presentation, and it's been this way for a while. Making something look good and presentable, finished. Maybe not necessarily rendered, but I've seen a lot of artists who aren't super rendered, but their stuff looks really finished. So I guess graphic design. And my strength would be right now maybe, a lot of people say color. I think faces I'm pretty okay with. Okay, so that's mine. So what about you, Ricardo?
That's really hard to answer.
You want to think about it, and I'll move on to Jet.
Yeah.
All right.
I'll say characters. I'll say characters and
That's your
anything
strong
dealing
point.
with. That's my strong part. Yes, sorry. Anything dealing with characters like robot characters. It can be organic monster creatures, all that stuff. People. That's my strong part. I haven't delved much in scenes and architecture, so yeah, I'm not that strong in that at all. Actually, I built a little bit of it during manga because manga, you kind of whatever's in the story, you have to incorporate it in. But that's definitely what I feel a little shaky and scared about. It gets scary.
Well, I agree with Bob. I mean, it's not that I don't. Well, my weakest area would be scenarios and landscapes and stuff. But it's not. That's not the weakness. The weakness is that I avoid them.
Yeah, exactly.
But I do everything I can to do as little as possible of that. And that's the problem. It's not that because you can learn it. You can always learn it.
Yeah. And
Well,
what's your strengths? Ricardo?
I think it would be characters too.
Yeah. And you, Bob?
Me. I suppose the things that I haven't worked on as much would be perspective, drawing females.
You're good with females now.
Yeah,
Females.
he is.
I'm
Busted out with some
I think
sexy chicks. Yeah.
I think I'm better, but it's not up to par to some. Like, it's much easier for me to draw males than it is to draw females. So that's something that I'm still gonna do.
Females.
Females, yes.
But what about painting? Because like I would say your girls are really quite good.
For me, they're adequate.
So you think you're better with you think you're better with painting than with girls?
I don't know. For me, for some reason, like I'm not even thinking about painting. It's just sort of a pipe dream for me right now. It's just sort of like, okay, well, I'll get to that eventually. I'm not really interested that much at the moment. I'm very much focused on drawing right now. But I think my real weakness is just besides coming up with ideas, because like I still have problems with that. One of the biggest problems I have is just my habit. You know, it's just like, oh, I might not draw as much, or I might not be as interested in doing something, even though I should. And, yeah, it's I don't know. I feel as though my problems are more based on psychology in a way, plus the lack of technique as well.
I don't really think of you as having a lack of technique, but
well, instead of lack of technique, maybe just lack of practice. It's like, okay, I could be doing a lot more than I am now, but I don't know. I'm just going by my own pace right now.
All right. Well, that's all the time we have. Again, I want to thank my patrons and for making all this possible. And if you came late, you can always support me on Patreon. And I want to especially thank all my guests. Flavia for handling the chat, Amira for being here,
For existing.
for entertaining us, and Ricardo for talking as well, and Jet for talking as well, and the viewers for watching, because without you watching, we'd just be talking to ourselves, and that's something I do plenty enough of as it is. So, thanks everyone. Thanks for watching.
Thanks, everybody.
Yeah.
Thanks, bye.
Bye bye.